Hi, it's Mrs. Moss here. We're going to continue talking about meteorology and revisit the ideas behind air pressure, and we're going to make it to apply to our weather outside on a day-to-day basis. This is known as a pressure system. So let's talk a little more about that. We mentioned in our wind video that isobars measure line of equal pressure, and we could see areas on maps where the lines are closer together. That would indicate that there's a faster wind speed, and lines that are farther apart indicate a slower wind speed. Well, these isobars also show patterns of wind and movement, and we realize that they're around a low pressure or a high pressure center, and we call that pressure systems. So let's take a look at a high pressure system. High pressure systems are also known as anticyclones, and their winds blow in a clockwise circulation. Winds blow outwards or they diverge from the center. So if you look at these diagrams, it's looking from an overhead view, looking down at the center of the high pressure. And you see from there, the winds are blowing outwards and in a clockwise direction. Okay, and we're always going to associate high pressure systems with fair weather. Clear, dry days are associated with high pressure systems. One way to remember the patterns around the high pressure system is HOC, high, outwards, and clockwise. Definitely want to write this down. And I would also, next to the HOC in your notes, I would write down the diagram next to it to show the winds blowing outwards and clockwise. A low pressure system is the complete opposite. Winds blow inward and counterclockwise. So here we have the diagram of the low pressure system next to the high pressure system, and you can see they're opposite. We call low pressure systems cyclones, and their wind circulation is counterclockwise. Winds blow inward towards the center, which means they converge. And they're associated with lousy weather, rain or snow. So think low, snow, or lousy, high, dry. And you're going to remember wind patterns by remembering the acronym LICC, L-I-C-C, low pressure, inward winds, counterclockwise motion. Again, you want to make sure that you draw that shape opposite of how you drew the H. Now this is a low pressure system, but it's looking at it from the ground level. So if you are standing on the ground and you are looking towards a low pressure system, you would perhaps see the winds blowing inward towards the center or converging. And then once they come towards the center with low pressure, there's going to be rising air. So the winds come in towards the center and then they rise. And as you remember, every time we have rising air, we have cloud formation. So low pressure systems are associated with humid weather, with moisture in the air, with condensation, cloud forming, precipitation occurring, and the lousy weather. So the warm air is rising. Now winds blow from high pressure to low pressure. So it goes outwards from the high, inwards towards the low. And again, as we said before, we associate high pressure with clear weather, high, dry, because that moisture, that high pressure is pressing the air down. It can't rise to form clouds. So we usually have clear, dry weather at high pressure systems. Whereas the low pressure, there's a lot of rain, moisture, it's able to rise and form clouds. Winds blow from high to low. And in this picture, we see the surface direction using the isobars. So we see that the higher pressure here is in millibars, 1008, and it's getting continually lower to 996 millibars at the low. So again, they flow outwards from the high, inwards towards the low. High, dry. Okay, so this is a side diagram at the surface of a high pressure cold air sinking and winds blowing towards the low pressure, where then the air rises and it forms clouds. So I want you to get this diagram down. You can hit pause on the video, but make sure you copy this diagram down. It's very important to know how it looks from the side view like this, as well as from the top, with the H and the C moving counterclockwise and clockwise. Why would days with high pressure be windier than days with low pressure? Let's think about that for a minute. Well, we know that on high pressure days, the air is being pressed down or held down close to the Earth's surface. And the air is going to flow from the high pressing down to another region where there's lower pressure. And when that occurs, wind is generated. So on days with low pressure, the air then is allowed to rise over the surface of the Earth. So the winds are generated up higher into our atmosphere. So we don't really feel the effects of the winds as much on low pressure days as we do on high pressure days when the air movement is at the Earth's surface. So we're going to stop there for now, and we'll continue talking about meteorology in our next video. We're going to start to see how these high and low pressure systems allow us to start predicting our weather and forecasting for the next few days. So take care. We'll see you next time.